Okay, Jessica, welcome. We're so excited to talk to you. Will you tell us who you are and your connection to the QICEY?
Yeah, my name is Jessica Sunnyguk Ulrich, and I'm a tribal citizen of Nome Eskimo community, a descendant of the native village of Wales in Alaska. I'm a Nup'ak, and I'm an assistant professor at Washington State University in the iReach program. And I have been working with QICEY as a site consultant primarily for Hawaii throughout this duration.
Lovely to have you with us and to have this conversation with you. It's very meaningful to the work and to me. So it's a joy to be able to be in space with you.
Thank you.
This Lessons Learned 10 is part of a series of lessons learned from the QICEY that helps folks that aren't as familiar with the project see behind the curtain a little bit to learn about what is happening in the project over these last years and the really important lessons that we're learning in the work of elevating engagement of children and youth by professionals in child welfare. So, this lesson itself, number 10, talks about how real engagement happens when local communities help shape the work. Why is this element so important to the work of QICEY?
Yeah, I feel like one of the things that I've really loved about this project is that honoring of the local brilliance that exists within each state and tribal community, and how there's this recognition that not all communities are the same, that each community is going to have their own culture and history and social and environmental context that needs to be acknowledged and heard from in order to really shape and help implement what is the overall goal of the project, and that is to authentically engage youth and supporting their relational, cultural, and legal permanency. So I think one of the things that has been really great to witness and see is that trust of the local context of each community and to have that openness to receiving guidance and solutions from within rather than an expectation that, a one size fits all approach is going to work for every place, and that's not the case.
Absolutely not the case. There's no size that fits. Absolutely, that is the case. There's not one size fits all, especially in communities with deep culture and culture that is evolving over time as well. So it's really nice to start from that place because that can be a place of growth and honoring and understanding and elevation, which is what we want to do. So that's it's wonderful to hear your voice bring life into that. So thank you. The next thing that we talk about in this lesson is putting community at the center. And that is something that this project has really championed since the beginning, but it really comes to life in this stage of the project where we're looking back and looking forward still. So what I want to explore with you is what does that really look like in real time, honoring the community voice at the center?
Yeah, to me, centering community voice often requires something that I don't know if we've really operationalized and normalized within systems, um, especially in child welfare, where it is very stressed and crisis oriented, and it can be hard to make the time and create the space for listening to people with lived experience. But we see the shift happening across the system and across multiple systems in our country, where by seeing that true collaboration and connection and receiving that community guidance and honoring that local brilliance again, we're seeing better outcomes. We're seeing what will truly shape the the way that the work is happening in a way that we see improvements and we see children connected and we see families healthy and communities that are well. And it really takes that centering of community voice. And that's where I think it takes not only listening, but also being responsive and getting creative and taking all of their guidance and input and truly implementing it and doing something about it based on what was learned and what was heard from them. So that's the other component. So it's not just about listening, it's also about taking that right action in order to follow that guidance and to make those solutions come to fruition.
With that in
And
mind, forgive me, would you like to go on?
no, I was just going to say I feel like QICY and the work that's been happening in the pilot sites has involved that. And it's happened really well in Hawaii, where I've been a site consultant for.
Well, that's beautiful because we want to talk a little bit about that. Can you give us an example of this at work at the site that you are looking after Hawaii?
Yeah, so that's where I feel like one of the things that I've learned from observing and witnessing Hawaii's work is how the process is as important as the outcomes. So this is where it's all about relationship. It's all about establishing healthy, loving, trusting relationships with community and not to put the cart before the horse, as the saying goes, where you just start and hit the ground running and implement something without the community knowing about it, without the community giving their input, without that embrace of what is being proposed to that will be implemented, and without that guidance. So I feel like what I've seen with the process in Hawaii, and I know other communities have done this as well, is like slow down and have a meal together, share food, hear stories, have multiple speakers, ensure that, the key stakeholders who will help you champion a program or a project are there and listening and hearing about it and also involved in the design and implementation of it. So it takes intentional reconnection time and time again. It's not a one time only thing. It's about gathering and bringing people together, having the young people with the lived experience sharing their stories and hearing what their thoughts and insights are about what can help change the system for the better for young people. That's where the magic happens.
It sure does. And there's a specific program in Hawaii that was a foundational to this work. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So one of the things that I've appreciated again about QICEY is this idea of all the pilot sites being able to pilot their own program models that fits that local context again. And in Hawaii, from truly driven from the young people, the High Hopes board of leaders of young people with lived experience, they said they wanted to develop a circle process for young people where it was just about the young person and engaging in a case planning discussion that totally emphasized the relational and cultural connectedness and also addressed the legal permanency. So they developed Polina circles, and Polina means relationship building kind of circles, and it's youth driven. The young person says where they want it, when they want it. There's food involved there as well, and then the young person really has is a lot of say on who comes to that meeting, and that's where there's just a discussion and a check-in and hearing about how they're doing, and then it's up to the whole team of people who attend this to find ways to support some of those goals and help that young person achieve some of these different outcomes that is really coming from that young person. And it's been amazing to hear about all the success stories so far and just the heart work that's truly happening in those spaces where it's not just about, a checkbox or, you know, whether something was created as a case plan activity and did it happen. It's like it's a healing process at the same time. And that's where I feel like, again, I come back to that saying of the process is as important as the outcomes, because it's more than just a case plan at that point. When you have a young person who's truly engaged and guiding what and saying what they need, and then have a whole community of people providing that support and help.
Well, I think you've answered a bunch I think you've answered this question in many different ways as we've talked here for a little bit, but uh, does this all give you hope for what's happening and what can happen and what's possible? And if so, in what way?
Oh my gosh, it totally gives me hope to see that young people are in the community are guiding this and leading this, and that we're seeing those successes because we're finally engaging in a way that is authentic, that is collaborative, that is supportive, that is nurturing, that is healing. That so I feel like so much of what we've missed perhaps in the past was that relationality piece. And so when we are engaging in this work and we're honoring that local brilliance and context, and we're getting input and guidance in the way that we have been, that's where, again, the success is going to happen. And yes, there might be, mistakes or imperfections along the way, but that relationality piece is what just keeps everything afloat and going in the right direction. And that's where there's always room for improvement. And that's where I appreciate so much all of these pilot sites, as we call them, taking that risk and putting themselves out there and trying something different and new and creative and seeing what works, and letting us all benefit from learning from those lessons that they've been through, so that we can then expand it out broader and take it further, and see potentially not just local positive outcomes, but the statewide, and then who knows, maybe national outcomes, global outcomes. Like, this is where it's so important that we do the work in the right way like this.
And speaking of doing the work in the right way like this, what I was very moved by personally and professionally was that there's a commitment to not asking any of our pilot sites or partners to do anything that we're not willing to do ourselves. And when we were gathering as all sites, we had Hawaii lead Palini circles
Right.
together as a professional group. So can you say a little bit more about why that piece was so important to this project?
Yeah, I think that it's that relationality piece. And I feel like what I've witnessed with Hawaii is they live their values. They not only know about, their values and the importance of aloha and ohana and Polina. It's like it's lived. You feel it. It's palpable. It's something that touches your spirit, and that's what I feel like truly fosters human connection and provides that recognition of another way that the work can happen, so that we are truly engaging in a way that is authentic, like to the young people, where it's not just surface level changes that are made, or young people feel like they come and they tell their story and give this guidance, but then nothing happens, so that's where I feel like addressing some of those disconnects and helping the connection happen. And I feel like Hawaii has been a wonderful partner to have on this project to learn from.
And I think everybody who was there really learned as well. And how great is it that these local sites, bringing local context to the work of QICEY, then also rises up to other members of the leadership team so that we can all learn and grow from these moments
Mhm.
that are already impacting local environments. So it's a real gift and a real uh, manifestation of what's possible when you're bringing in that local context for the folks closest to it and then bringing that out even further. So it's really neat to see that happen across this project. So a real joy to talk to you. Before we go, is there any hope that you have for this work for the QICEY as we are coming close to the end of the project? Not quite there yet, but what is a hope that you would have for the work that you've been doing in Hawaii and just with this group in general?
Yeah, I just hope that this becomes the norm, and the way that the work and the business happens is through this relational way of being again. And I really feel like when we honor young people's relational context, and like the important people in their lives and those that they love and care about, and maintain those connections, and we're supporting their learning around cultural connectedness and what that means for them, and how many of us are multicultural human beings, and all of those kind of things, like that helps a young person know who they are, and that helps them become equipped with this love and drive and spirit that we need them to have in order for multiple levels of relationships to be healthy and well. So, like what you mentioned about Hawaii and the multiple levels of leadership that they're engaging with, not just locally, but like broadly, and everything. That's where we move from I to we. That's where we understand we belong to a collective. That's where there's this reciprocal relationship that gets established between the community and a young person, and a family and a young person, and a young person with a family and a community and a society. Like it's this understanding of that connection that I feel like provides that network of support, and that will get a person through everything that life kind of brings people's way, because nobody gets through life unscathed. We all have challenges and different things we have to grapple with, but it's through connectedness. I feel like that's how we survive. That's how we thrive. So I want all young people to have that, and for these processes that we're engaging in and have learned from with this project to become part of systemic norms. So,
Jessica, thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your spirit. Thank you for all you bring to the QICEY and to the world. We're
thank you.
appreciative of you.
Thanks so much.
The QICEY is 100% funded by the Administration for Children and Families of the United States Department of Health and Human Services.